When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. Patience is a virtue, and I'm learning patience. It's a tough lesson. If something's important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. Here in the West, people often don't like listening to their leaders, even if they are right. Great companies are built on great products. Really, the only thing that makes sense is to strive for greater collective enlightenment. You could warm Mars up, over time, with greenhouse gases. Life is too short for long-term grudges. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. It's okay to have your eggs in one basket as long as you control what happens to that basket. I think you should always bear in mind that entropy is not on your side. I think we are at the dawn of a new era in commercial space exploration. If we drive down the cost of transportation in space, we can do great things. Tesla is here to stay and keep fighting for the electric car revolution. I will never be happy without having someone. Going to sleep alone kills me. If I'm not in love, if I'm not with a long-term companion, I cannot be happy. We are the first species capable of self-annihilation. The factory is the machine that builds the machine. I think it matters whether someone has a good heart. Any product that needs a manual to work is broken. I would like to die on Mars. Just not on impact. When I was in college, I wanted to be involved in things that would change the world. Rockets are cool. There's no getting around that. I'm a Silicon Valley guy. I just think people from Silicon Valley can do anything. The key to making things affordable is design and technology improvements, as well as scale. Land on Mars, a round-trip ticket, $500,000. It can be done. If humanity doesn't land on Mars in my lifetime, I would be very disappointed. My opinion is it's a bridge too far to go to fully autonomous cars. America is the spirit of human exploration distilled. I've actually not read any books on time management. In order to have your voice be heard in Washington, you have to make some little contribution. I don't think it's a good idea to plan to sell a company. I do think there should be some regulations on AI. In the early days of aviation, there was a great deal of experimentation and a high death rate. I don't create companies for the sake of creating companies, but to get things done. I usually describe myself as an engineer. That's basically what I've been doing since I was a kid. I had so many people try to talk me out of starting a rocket company. It was crazy. The pace of progress on Mars depends upon the pace of progress of SpaceX. The rumors of the demise of the U.S. manufacturing industry are greatly exaggerated. I've been to Disneyland, like, 10 times. I'm getting really tired of Disneyland. I'd like to dial it back 5% or 10% and try to have a vacation that's not just email with a view. As you heat the planet up, it's just like boiling a pot. I'm glad to see that BMW is bringing an electric car to market. That's cool. I wish we could be private with Tesla. It actually makes us less efficient to be a public company. If anyone has a vested interest in space solar power, it would have to be me. Silicon Valley has some of the smartest engineers and technology business people in the world. If you had to buy a new plane every time you flew somewhere, it would be incredibly expensive. Winning Motor Trend Car of the Year is probably the closest thing to winning the Oscar or Emmy of the car industry. The reason we should do a carbon tax is because it's the right thing to do. It's economics 101, elementary stuff. There are some important differences between me and Tony Stark, like I have 5 kids, so I spend more time going to Disneyland than parties. We polled Tesla owners, do you want autopilot disabled or not? Not one person wanted it disabled. That's pretty telling. Selling an electric sports car creates an opportunity to fundamentally change the way America drives. The fuel cell is just a fundamentally inferior way of delivering electrical energy to an electric motor than batteries. Stationary storage will be as big as the car business long term. The growth rate will probably be several times what it is for the car business. There's nothing I've bought everything I want. I don't like yachts or anything. You know, I'm not a yacht person, and I've got pretty much the nicest plane I'd want to have. If we're going to have any chance of sending stuff to other star systems, we need to be laser focused on becoming a multi-planet civilization. People should pursue what they're passionate about. That will make them happier than pretty much anything else. People work better when they know what the goal is and why. It is important that people look forward to coming to work in the morning and enjoy working. I think we have a duty to maintain the light of consciousness to make sure it continues into the future. Self-driving cars are the natural extension of active safety and obviously something we should do. I say something, and then it usually happens. Maybe not on schedule, but it usually happens. Henry Ford made cheap, reliable cars, people said. Nah, what's wrong with a horse? That was a huge bet he made, and it worked. I think life on Earth must be about more than just solving problems. It's got to be something inspiring, even if it is vicarious. Starting a business is not for everyone. Starting a business, I'd say, number one is have a high pain threshold. I think that's the single best piece of advice. Constantly think about how you could be doing things better and questioning yourself. It's very important to like the people you work with. Otherwise, your job is going to be quite miserable. We're already cyborgs. Your phone and your computer are extensions of you, but the interface is through finger movements or speech, which are very slow. The path to the CEO's office should not be through the CFO's office, and it should not be through the marketing department. It needs to be through engineering and design. Some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster. If you're trying to create a company, it's like baking a cake. You have to have all the ingredients in the right proportion. I think there should be regulations on social media to the degree that it negatively affects the public good. There's a silly notion that failure is not an option at NASA. Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. I do love email. Wherever possible, I try to communicate asynchronously. I'm really good at email. Biofuels such as ethanol require enormous amounts of cropland and end up displacing either food crops or natural wilderness, neither of which is good. I wouldn't say I have a lack of fear. In fact, I'd like my fear emotion to be less because it's very distracting and fries my nervous system. I don't spend my time pontificating about high-concept things. I spend my time solving engineering and manufacturing problems. The goal of Tesla is to accelerate sustainable energy, so we're going to take a step back and think about what's most likely to achieve that goal. It is theoretically possible to warp spacetime itself, so you're not actually moving faster than the speed of light, but it's actually space that's moving. In order for us to have a future that's exciting and inspiring, it has to be one where we're a space-faring civilization. Obviously, Tesla is about helping solve the consumption of energy in a sustainable manner, but you need the production of energy in a sustainable manner. Over time, I think we will probably see a closer merger of biological intelligence and digital intelligence. Mars is the only place in the solar system where it's possible for life to become multiplanetarian. I think whenever there's something that affects the public good, then there does need to be some form of public oversight. I think it's very important to have a feedback loop, where you're constantly thinking about what you've done and how you could be doing it better. I'm trying to construct a world that maximizes the probability that SpaceX continues its mission without me. When I was a child, there's one thing I said: I never want to be alone. That's what I would say. I don't want to be alone. Facebook is quite entrenched and has a network effect. It's hard to break into a network once it's formed. Physics is really figuring out how to discover new things that are counterintuitive, like quantum mechanics. It's really counterintuitive. I think long-term you can see Tesla establishing factories in Europe, in other parts of the US, and in Asia. If you think back to the beginning of cell phones, laptops, or really any new technology, it's always expensive. I tend to approach things from a physics framework. And physics teaches you to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. The United States is definitely ahead in culture of innovation. If someone wants to accomplish great things, there is no better place than the US. I'm reasonably optimistic about the future, especially the future of the United States for the century, at least. Even if producing CO2 was good for the environment, given that we're going to run out of hydrocarbons, we need to find some sustainable means of operating. SpaceX has the potential of saving the US government $1 billion a year. We are opposed to creating an entrenched monopoly with no realistic means for anyone to compete. I've actually made a prediction that within 30 years a majority of new cars made in the United States will be electric. And I don't mean hybrid, I mean fully electric. I just want to retire before I go senile, because if I don't retire before I go senile, then I'll do more damage than good at that point. What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in space flight and help make space flight accessible to almost anyone. I'm personally a moderate and a registered independent, so I'm not strongly Democratic or strongly Republican. You need to be in the position where it is the cost of the fuel that actually matters and not the cost of building the rocket in the first place. A Prius is not a true hybrid, really. The current Prius is, like, 2% electric. It's a gasoline car with slightly better mileage. Some companies out there quote a start of production that is substantially in advance of when customers get their cars. Man has the power to act as his own destroyer, and that is the way he has acted through most of his history. The U.S. automotive industry has been selling cars the same way for over 100 years. And there are many laws in place to govern exactly how that is to be accomplished. It is true that SpaceX is partially a government contractor, but it would be unfair to say that SpaceX is entirely a government contractor. You need to live in a dome initially. But over time you could terraform Mars to look like Earth and eventually walk around outside without anything on. So it's a fixer-upper of a planet. I care very deeply about the people at Tesla. I feel like I have a great debt to the people of Tesla who are making the company successful. I feel very strongly that SpaceX would not have been able to get started, nor would we have made the progress that we have, without the help of NASA. I was born in Africa. I came to California because it's really where new technologies can be brought to fruition, and I don't see a viable competitor. The problem with car dealerships is you've already decided what you want to buy before you even go there, and you're really just going there to talk through some annoying negotiation. I hate writing about personal stuff. I don't have a Facebook page. I don't use my Twitter account. I am familiar with both, but I don't use them. Government isn't that good at rapid advancement of technology. It tends to be better at funding basic research. To have things take off, you've got to have commercial companies do it. I think most of the important stuff on the internet has been built. There will be continued innovation, for sure, but the great problems of the internet have essentially been solved. Brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Sometimes it will be ahead, other times it will be behind. But brand is simply a collective impression some have about a product.